And we are back with some more Nova Scotia Supernovas franchise mode, and in this one we are headed into year number 8. Coming off a pretty good season all in all, but unfortunately we could not surpass the Colorado Avalanche in the Stanley Cup final. They beat us out in 4 games. They swept us in the final round of the playoffs, and it's unfortunate. That was in our best regular season ever so far. 115 points during the regular season. We made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, just couldn't make that final push. But you know what? I'm still feeling confident. We have guys like Ivanov, who is a 3.5-star ability now. On the back end, you have Provorov, Kiviharju, Chychrun, Juracek, all 3.5-star or above. Not to mention you have Wu, who's a 4.5-star potential. Now, I'm not sure how far he's going to take that, but still, he has the potential to get there eventually. And then at forward, you have a plethora of forwards. Jaeger at a 4.5-star ability. Then you have 2 4-stars in Peter and Stenberg. Then you have Eriksson, Chmelevski, Nemestikov, Ingram, Lotnia. All 3.5 stars or above. I mean, we should not, barring any major injuries like what has happened in years past, we should not be missing the playoffs. We should not be even being outed in the playoffs early. We should be going deep once again this year with the Nova Scotia Supernovas. I fully expect a championship type performance during the regular season, and obviously during the playoffs too, but regular season comes first. So that being said, there are no moves that I want to make before the start of the regular season, so we may as well get into it and see what happens in the first couple of months. Alright, so we're on December 1st now. We have 13, 12, and 2. We have been way too inconsistent over the past 2 months for my liking, so I think it's time to take a look at what's going on here. So look at the team stats. Goals for per game, as expected, we're up there at the top with a 3.81, fourth in the league. But unfortunately, goals against per game, not as hot. 20th in the league with a 3.37. Faceoffs were good. We're 53.7, first in the league. No problems there. Power play, pretty good. 7th in the league with a 25.7. Penalty kill, though, as usual, is down there, 24th in the league with a 76.3. And once again, the only saving grace I can find here for the penalty kill is that we take the fewest amount of penalties in the league. Only 59 so far, compared to 72 for the next team. But still, it needs to be better when we are on the penalty kill. Let's take a look at the player stats. You have Lotnia with 26 points. Then you have Stenberg with 24, 22 for Peter, Jaeger, and Nemestikov. 19 for Juracek, 18 for Chmelevski, 16 for Eriksson, 15 for Zetterberg and Ingram, 13 for Onishko, 12 for Lekarimaki and Kiviharju. Then you have 11 for Liljegren, 10 for Makarov and Chychrun, 7 for Peterka and Provorov. Peterka's only been in for 13 games this year. I would guess that's due to just being scratched. I haven't seen him injured at all. Odelius with 5 points, then 3 for Klee and Wu. Wu's only been in for 9 games. He has had some injuries. I think 2 already this year. Let's see, injury history. Yeah, he's already had 2 injuries. He had one stomach virus and then a sore groin. So he should be back soon, but still, he has missed some time. But I wouldn't imagine that all of his games missed are from injury, It looks like he did miss some games just due to being scratched as well. So that's definitely unfortunate for him. And then a look at the goaltender stats. You have a 9-15 in 13 games for Peterson. 4 wins, 7 losses. That's a bit brutal. And Ivanov in 16 games with a 8.99. Oof, that's rough. I mean, he has, oddly enough, he has been getting more wins than Peterson, even though his save percentage is worse. He is 9-5-2. We're letting in more goals with Ivanov, but we're also winning more often. I guess we just must be scoring more often with Ivanov in that, but at the same time, we're also letting in more goals. Defensively, most everyone's doing their job, at least on the defensive end. Jonas Wu with the lowest defensive grade at a 58, though he hasn't been in too many games compared to the rest of the defensive core. And then at forward, I would definitely say we're strongest at forward. I mean, we clearly have no trouble scoring goals. A lot of our forwards are even solid defensively. I mean, there's not really much reason to worry, honestly. And it's not just our penalty kill that's bad. Like, our goals against per game is actually not great either, as we saw. So if our goals against per game was good, but our penalty kill was still bad, then maybe I wouldn't consider making any changes, just because it would be, in that case, it would just be the penalty kill where we're weak defensively. But no, in this case, we are weak 5-on-5 defensively as well. Problem is, I like our general core of players. I guess it's just a matter of finding the right combination that works defensively. I like David Klee defensively. I'm not sure why coach isn't playing him. He's only played 10 games so far, and I don't think he's gotten injured. I mean, it's possible this is a coaching thing as well, but, Rod Brind'Amour has taken us to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 of the past 3 years, so I don't want to do anything I might regret. But with how inconsistent we've been this year, with this kind of roster, it's definitely something that shouldn't be ignored. I mean, don't get me wrong, at least as of right now, I don't have any intention of firing Rod Brind'Amour. But the fact that we've been so inconsistent over the past, basically ever since 3 years ago, the season after we won the Stanley Cup, we've been extremely inconsistent. I mean, we go from winning the Stanley Cup to not making the playoffs. Although, to be fair, you could attribute that to the amount of injuries that we got that year. I mean, we had a lot of significant injuries that year, so it's understandable, I suppose. Last year we were good, 54, 21, and 7. We just couldn't get it done in the finals, but so far this year, not looking too hot. And again, most of that has to do with 5-on-5 defense and penalty kill. I'm just not sure who I would move to potentially fix the penalty kill, because like I said, I really like our current roster. I mean, I don't want to do nothing because it's clear that the penalty kill and the defense needs some work. They're not working right now. But I also like what we have going for us in terms of talent. So I'm going to have to think on this one for sure. All right, you know what? I'm not sure if this has much effect on the simulation, like as far as the defensive side of things, but I'm considering replacing Sergei Gonchar as the defensive coach with somebody else, and then potentially Alex Tremblay as well. So if anyone, I would probably move either Lekkerimaki or Onishko. I'm just not sure which one yet. Onishko is better offensively, I know that for sure. As we see his offensive read, 20, puck handling 20. I mean, he's just, yeah, he's all around better offensively than Mr. Lekkerimaki. Defensively, better checker. Same at hitting, same at positioning. He's actually better defensively than Lekkerimaki too, now that I look at it. In everything except shot blocking, which is like 8 and 9, so that's barely a difference. And then faceoffs as well, but when Onishko's a winger. And then Lekkerimaki, I believe he's played some center, but I think he's mostly a winger. So the faceoffs don't really matter for them anyway. Let's see. Yeah, Lekkerimaki mostly plays wing. And physical ratings, I think Onishko's better. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any category besides mental that Lekkerimaki has Onishko beat. I mean, Lekkerimaki definitely has the determination and leadership for sure, but that's basically it. That's all he has on Onishko. Onishko's even younger, he's taller, he's heavier. I don't know, I guess maybe Lekkerimaki could be finding himself on his way out here soon, because we do need a really solid defensive player. But if we are making a trade with Lekkerimaki involved, I expect a pretty good defensive player in return. There are a couple players who caught my eye in St. Louis. There is Owen Beck, he's 24, a 3-star ability, defensive reads at 18, speeds at 18, acceleration 16, so I have a feeling he could be a pretty good defensive player. Positioning's at 15, hitting's a little low, but everything else is pretty solid. And not to mention his defensive grade's at 84, compared to his offensive grade at 58, so he's definitely a defensively focused player, which is what we're looking for, obviously. And then there's also William Vogt, who is 23, 2.5-star player. Defensively pretty well-rounded. He's not like Owen Beck with the high defensive read, but just solid all around. 15 checking, 14 hitting, 15 positioning, 14 stick checking, and 14 defensive read, 17 speed, so that definitely doesn't hurt either. 14 points for him on the year so far, and then a 59 offensive grade and a 75 defensive grade, so definitely both pretty good defensively. I would like to acquire at least one of them. Now, what's St. Louis looking like as far as their goal scoring? Like, would they want someone like Lekkerimaki? They're 17th for goals for, with a 3.15. So they could definitely be doing better in that department. Goals against per game, they're also at 3.15. So they're certainly doing better than us defensively. So I can't imagine they'd be willing to give up both Beck and Vogt. If I could get one of them and then give them Lekkerimaki and then maybe something else in return. Let's see. Let's take a look at their career history. So Vogt's in his second season. Last season with St. Louis, he had a 63 grade. And then what about Beck? Beck is in his third season with St. Louis. Well, second full season, it looks like. Because he did spend a few years with Vancouver. though none of them were actually full. But based on how high his grades have been, I'm guessing that he's solid defensively no matter where he is. Like even here when he had only 3 points in 26 games for the Vancouver Canucks when he was 20, he still had a 60 grade. That's probably pretty good defensively, that means. Then only 14 points in 53 games, 62 grade, a 69 grade with only 25 points. And then that roughly 70 grade has been pretty consistent ever since, even with having, a maximum of 33 points per season so far. And it looks like he's on track for possibly 40 this season, but still, I would imagine he's going to be harder to trade for since he does have more potential. He has more ability than William Vogt. So if we do trade for Beck, we're probably going to have to give up more than just Mr. Lekkerimaki, which I'd be okay with at this point because we have plenty of assets. I'm not worried about that. Yeah, the scout says maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think they'll accept this offer. Yeah, that would make sense. Oh, right, we could potentially use Thibodeau or Boo, and there's also Velikov that we need to trade to. But it looks like he's actually doing pretty well down in the AHL, 22 points so far in 28 games. And from what I saw with Boo, only 12 points in 25 games. So it looks like he's not even getting that much ice time when he does play, even as a 3-star. Yeah, I think Boo's going to be the one added here. Well-balanced offer. Okay. Now, I don't want to completely deplete the AHL roster, so let's go into the rights here. I'd be willing to give you, let's say, a second. Okay. What about a third? Will you take a third instead? No. Okay, so it's got to be a second. Lekkerimaki, Boo, and a second for Owen Beck. The way I see it, if he does what he's been doing defensively in St. Louis here, it's worth it. Because he's all around pretty solid. Like, even his weakest ratings aren't that bad. It's just the hitting that I'm concerned about, really. But even that, he could probably make up for with his speed and overall defensive grades in general. And the thing is with Vogt, if I were to get him on here instead, they actually would not be able to take this due to the salary. So as far as making the trade go through, Beck is the easiest option here without having to do any sort of salary retaining. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this because Lekkerimaki, I mean, as good as he is offensively, we are in a desperate need for defensive players right now. And every time Boo's on the roster, he hasn't impressed me. And then I don't mind giving up a second-round pick right now. So, offer trade. Let's see if that goes through. And then in the meantime, I'm also going to look for a different defensive coach. Yeah, Gonchar has an offensive preference and non-physical preference. I'm thinking about replacing him with John Madden. Because John Madden is a defensive offensive preference, balanced physical preference, pretty good at coaching really all around, with 16 defense, 15 for forwards, 16 for coaching prospects, and then defensive and offensive skills, 15 physical training, pretty good miscellaneous ratings as well. So just all around solid as an assistant coach, and I think I would like to get him on as our defensive coach instead of Sergei Gonchar, who I will be releasing. So there you go. John Madden now on board as our defensive coach. Hopefully that makes a difference. And along with hopefully acquiring Owen Beck, we should be looking better defensively with those moves. And there it is. St. Louis has accepted our trade offer. Jonathan Lekkerimaki, Daniil Boo, and a second-round pick to the St. Louis Blues in exchange for Owen Beck. Complete trade. So there you go. Now with Owen Beck on our roster, number 92, as well as the signing of John Madden as our new defensive coach. We'll see where we go from here. Just as a reminder, here's what our defensive numbers are looking like currently. Our goals against per game is currently sitting at a 3.41, and our penalty kill is currently 28th in the league with a 75%. So obviously looking for both of those to go up, hopefully before the trade deadline. Oh boy, here we go again. Long-term injury for Timothy Liljegren, 1 to 2 months with a torn abdominal muscle. Luckily, he is our only injury right now, but hopefully that's the only big injury for a little bit here. And it looks like we're going to have to call up a defenseman as it's putting Peterka on D. And unfortunately, Tristan Doyle cannot be called up. Even though he is a 2.5-star talent now, he has a detached retina for 1 to 2 months. So that's just great. Let's call up Tomek then, I suppose. Oh boy, Dominic Peter, 1%. Torn triceps, 2 to 3 months. No. I mean, it hasn't gotten too out of control just yet, but not exactly an ideal time to get an injury, though, as we're 24, 20, and 3, and we're 5th in division. When it comes to the wild card, we're still 2 points behind the Devils, and the Flyers are right there with us. So we currently sit outside the playoffs. So what I'm saying is that any injury is a bad injury right now. So that injury to Peter definitely hurts. This team definitely should not be struggling as much as it is. I mean, we already have almost as many regulation losses now that we did last year total. So not a good sign there. Although I suppose we have been better defensively than when we last checked. We're currently at a 3.21 now. We were at a 3.41 before. So it's better with the acquisition of Owen Beck and of John Madden. Power play is still just as good as ever. Penalty kill, okay. All right, that's better. That's much better. 80.2 now. 17th in the league. Before it was like, 28th? 75%. That's a much needed improvement. For right now, I'm happy with the penalty kill. Overall, defense obviously could be better, but we seem to be trending in the right direction in that respect. However, I do notice that goal scoring seems to be drying up a bit, unfortunately. Now, maybe that's as a result of firing Sergei Gonchar and trading Lekkerimäki. I don't know. I would say it was worth it for the improvement made to the penalty kill. It's clear as day, at least as of right now, that our penalty kill is much better. But overall, we are definitely still struggling. So, got to find a perfect balance of goal scoring and defense, I suppose. That's something that has eluded us so far for the majority of this GM mode, besides, the 1 year where we went on to win the cup. And unfortunately, Ivanov has not been great this year either. 903 save percentage. I mean, that's better than the start of the season, I believe, when we had like 889, I think. It was pretty low. So he's been better recently. Cal Peterson, however, he's been pretty good. 920 save percentage in 23 games. And during his time here, he's been basically nothing but solid. 915 save percentage last year in 27 games. So far this year in 23, 920. So I'm very happy with Cal Peterson. Ivanov, however, he's proven 4 seasons in a row up until this year that he's much better than this. So I still believe in him, but definitely has to pick it up here. All right, so we're on February 1st now, 28, 23, and 4. Currently sitting 5th in the Atlantic Division, and in regards to the wild card, we are 3 points behind the Ottawa Senators, who occupy the second wild card. So definitely going to be an uphill battle. It's still possible to make the playoffs for sure, but like I said, it's going to be an uphill battle, and we've been kind of struggling a little bit lately, especially the most recent game against Buffalo, 8-2 loss. That was not pretty. Goal scoring looks like it's fallen off a bit, 3.27, 15th in the league now. That was in the top 5 or top 10, I believe, before. Goals against per game looks like that has regressed back down to 3.31. Power play, it's around the same as it was as when we last checked, is now at 24%. Penalty kill, currently 14th in the league with an 81.1. So penalty kill got drastically better as the season progressed, but not much else it doesn't look like. Let's see, goalie stats. Ivanov has been worse lately. He's down to 900 now. Let's see, defenseman, you have Juricek with 34 points, 27 for Kiviharju, 17 for Provorov, 14 for Chikrin, 13 for Liljegren in 31 games. He spent some time out with an injury. I believe it was 1 or 2 months. Odelius with 12 and Wu with 5 in 26. Forwards, you have Nemesnikov with 48, 43 for Ladnia, 39 for Stenberg, 35 for Jaeger, 30 for Khmelevsky, 28 for Onishko and Eriksson, 26 for Zetterberg, 24 for Makarov. Only 4 points for Owen Beck in 23 games for us. Hopefully his defensive grade's been better than his points are letting on. Peterka with 10 points in 28 games, and then Klee with 6 in 23. On the injury list, you have 29 points in 40 games for Peter, and 23 and 51 for Ingram. And now, of course, Beck is injured, so gonna have to replace him. It looks like we're gonna have to call up a forward, possibly. Yeah, because you have Jonas Wu there. I guess it'll be Velikov for now who comes up, but man, this is not good. Yeah, this team definitely should not be struggling as much as it is. We're way too talented of a team to be outside the playoffs right now. Like, we have more 3.5-star players on our roster or above than 3-star below. So it's certainly not for a lack of talent. That is for sure. And honestly, I can't even really blame any of this on injuries because we haven't had too many of them this season comparatively to other seasons. Our defensive grades for most of our players are actually pretty good, but I don't know. I think it's Ivanov, honestly. I think it's Ivanov with how he's been playing this year. because nothing else about this team really screams huge problem to me, you know? I mean, sure, there are some forwards who are maybe scoring a little less than they should, but Ivanov with that 900 save percentage is, it hurts. It really hurts. Yeah, I think we might have to end this one here because this situation is certainly concerning. And I do have some thinking to do regarding our situation, not only with our decrease in scoring lately, but also with Ivanov. Because, like, he's proven himself in the past 4 years, so I have to believe he can get back on track. This is the first year where he's really struggling at the NHL level, but at the same time, it's what I believe is really holding us back right now. So, yeah, I'm going to end it here. Certainly a lot to think on, and I will see you guys in the next one when we finish off year number 8 and hopefully make our way back into the playoffs. See you guys then.